week before the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration publicly backed President Trump over its own scientists, a top NOAA official warned its staff against contradicting the president. According to the Washington Post, in an agency-wide directive on September 1st, National Weather Service personnel were told to, quote, only stick with official National Hurricane Center forecasts if questions arise from some national-level social media posts. According to a copy of the email obtained by the paper, according to the email, the staff was also told not to provide any opinion. The message came just hours after Trump claimed that Alabama would most likely hit by Hurricane Dorian much harder than anticipated, something that was false. It also came after the National Weather Service office in Birmingham contradicted Trump by tweeting Alabama would not see any impacts from the hurricane. According to the Post, NOAA, which oversees the National Weather Service, isn't the first agency in the Trump administration to publicly side with the president after he has doubled down on a widely disputed claim. But the paper notes it was unprecedented in the organization's history and threatens to politicize the weather forecast, something that most Americans take for granted as objective. A National Weather Service spokesperson said NWS leadership sent this guidance to field staff so they and the entire agency could maintain operational focus on Dorian and other severe weather hazards without distraction. Joining us now, former general counsel for NOAA, Monica Medina. She, along with Miro, are the co-founders of Our Daily Planet, a daily newsletter that informs readers about stories that impact the environment and climate. So, Monica, I guess I'll start with you, given your former affiliation with NOAA. How is this possible, and how does NOAA have any credibility when something like this happens?
Mika, thanks so much for having us on. It's shocking and really very upsetting for those of us who've been in the agency before and understand how important this mission is of getting the storm forecast right and narrowing the cone of uncertainty and keeping people safe. We write Our Daily Planet every day in order to tell those stories and make sure the public understands the importance of these forecasts, and particularly now with climate change really taking hold and us seeing the impact of these storms and the storms getting bigger and more dangerous. It's really critical that everyone in the entire weather enterprise, from the National Weather Service forecast offices to the Hurricane Center to the forecasters like the great ones here on NBC, stay on the same page.
Is it not then a real threat, Miro, to the public when we politicize how reports go in terms of climate, in terms of weather? I mean, we're actually talking about people in danger.
That's right. And, you know, that is really the importance of our upcoming climate forum on MSNBC on September 19th and 20th, because we want to ensure that the candidates running to challenge President Trump for the White House want to take these issues seriously. They want to ensure that our agencies take these issues seriously so that Americans can get the forecasts that they need so lives aren't put in jeopardy unnecessarily, because this is complicated and climate change is making forecasting of these hurricanes more complicated. And so we need a federal government that's ready to respond to this increasing threat.
And to jump in there, I'll say in this storm, the people who died in Florida often died because they were preparing for the storm and they took risks getting up on their roofs and battening down the hatches. And that's where real risks are.
So these statements explaining what happened are, I would characterize as pathetic, because this is not politicizing. This is lying.
They are pathetic.
Lying to the American people.
And
Jason,
worse.
you have a question?
Yeah, so I just want to ask really quick, for your average viewer out there that understands that climate change is happening but doesn't know how to determine what's a good plan and what isn't, what should we be listening for from these candidates? How can we tell the difference between someone who's just saying, hey, let's not use, plastic straws, and someone who's got a real plan that they can actually implement if they're elected president next year?
I think one of the key factors here, Jason, is looking at how each of these candidates is willing to use executive authority. Because if Democrats don't reclaim the Senate in 2020, then a lot of the action of these climate plans is going to be dependent on executive action. And so that's kind of a minor point, but it's a really important point. Additionally, I think that it's critical that we pay attention to how these candidates are looking to address frontline communities, communities of color, because it's those populations that are really in the paths of storms, they're living where sea level rise is happening at an accelerated rate. And so those Americans are at risk, and they also don't often have the resources necessary to just pick up and move. So I think any presidential plan that doesn't address that in earnest, needs to get a little more serious.
All right, our Daily Planet co-founders, Miro Korenha and Monica Medina. Thank you both so much. And as Miro mentioned, our Daily Planet is a partner with MSNBC for the upcoming Climate Forum on September 19th and 20th.